Hey, thanks for being here. My name's Manny, and this is Manny's Studio, where we make music, talk about music, and whatever else I freaking fill my days with. So, as you all know, I've been sharing a lot of my thoughts and ideas and things I've been generally working on to get out of my comfort zone on this channel. If you're new here, the short story is that studying classical music is really great and you learn so much, but by the end of it, I kind of felt like I was being put in a box. And so I really wanted to get back to just making things for the sake of making them without any of the rules that come alongside studying within an academic institution. And by doing this, on top of finding new and interesting things to explore on guitar, I've been having so much fun exploring things on Ableton and getting into synths and guitar pedals again and just having a good time with music. And so today I kind of want to do a little walkthrough and show you one of my favorite things of doing in Ableton. This might not be new to some of you, but it really blew my mind the first time I learned about it, and now I find myself always going to it every time I start making a new track, especially when I'm looking for some unpredictable ambience to the music. So let me show you my favorite way to use drum racks in Ableton. Okay, so the goal of today's video is to show you how I go about using drum racks in Ableton. There's a ton of different ways to use drum racks in Ableton, but this is a way that I found that I have a lot of fun with, to be honest. It kind of gives you this opportunity to play with how much control you have and create these probabilistic, randomized ambient beds that you could build a track on top of. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on what I do to make this happen. So the first step is I have my Spitfire Audio Labs Tundra Atmos pack running in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play through like 8 sounds and we're going to capture them. Alright, now that we have that, we have another audio track here set to resampling, and we're just going to resample all of those sounds. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're just gonna cut this up a little bit, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and you'll see why later. Okay. Now, the next step. So we have a MIDI track here. We're gonna get a drum rack, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna drag all of our individual samples into this drum rack. Alright, so we have that. Now, let's go. We have some audio track over there. Okay, so if we check this out, our drum rack over here, with all our samples, and let's just make a little loop here, and we're just gonna select all of these for this example. You don't have to select all of your samples. You can mess around with that and see what you want to do, but that's totally your call. Yeah, and so now that they're all selected, we're gonna go down here to chance, and we're gonna drop it down to let's say like 10% or 11, whatever. So what this is saying is that every time this is triggered, there's an 11% chance that one of these will play. So let's go over here and let's loop this selection. Cool, awesome. But let's say we want to do some more with this. We don't want to just have these tracks just playing as they are. We want to mess around with randomizing things even further, and we're going to focus on randomizing the start time of each individual sample. So this means that every time a sample gets triggered, it's always going to start in a different place. And we do this with LFOs. So there's a few steps to this. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to select the sample, and we're going to go to this top button over here, and that takes us to our macro controls. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to set the parameters of each of these samples. The start time of each of these samples, we're going to set it to one macro control knob. So that way, after we can set our LFO to that one knob, and it'll be able to constantly be changing the start time of each individual sample. And when we do that is we click map over here, and we're going to go to this sample, classic, we click start and map, and we repeat the process for each individual sample. Cool. So now we go to our next step. Let's start messing with our LFO. So we want random. We're gonna do a random wave over here. Let's set it to, I don't know. We're just gonna mess around with this. We're not gonna think about it too much. We're just gonna create something, right? We'll do that. Lots of jitter, smoothness, offset. Right? Didn't really think about it much. Just made a random LFO just to show you what we can do. Now we're gonna click map over here, and we're gonna set it to the start time. So you see this is changing because of the LFO. It's moving in tandem with that. If we go to all of our samples, it's always playing at a different spot, right? Sometimes we get little bits, bigger bits. It's always a little bit different. And you could take this as far as you want. There's really no end to what you can be randomizing and, you know, messing with the parameters of it. You could have a different LFO for any one of these parameters. You can make more macro controls. You could add effects to this and then have LFOs controlling the effects, like the reverb tail or your delay. It's really endless, and it's a lot of fun to mess around with. And personally, I know a lot of people may know how to use this and do this already, but I think this is one of the most fun things I learned this year, and yeah, I've been having a lot of fun working with it. And so I hope you learned something new and apply it. Let me know what you come up with. Alright, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with me, and let me know what you think. I've been having so much fun diving into Ableton and learning so much about music that I never had the chance to explore, and I think sharing this process is really cool. So yeah, drop a comment and let me know if you want to see more Ableton tutorial walkthrough style videos. That's it for me. I have a really dope video planned out for next week, and I'm stoked to put it out, so I'll see you there.